Welcome into Humbabe. This is going to be episode 14. And in this episode, we're going to go over the AL, the standings so far, what's been going on, and then predictions for the rest of the year, the second half of the season. And it's a highly anticipated episode because we're very excited to talk about it. A lot of surprises in both the AL and NL. And by the way, if you're looking for the NL updates, that will be in episode 15. But you're in 14 right now. This is the AL, and I'm here with Alex.
Yeah, so we thought this was the perfect time to go over, every team and give our updated predictions because we are approaching the 81 game mark. Like, we're basically halfway through the year, so we thought it would be a perfect time to, talk about this. But before we get into that, a couple weeks ago, the A's they made their fans,
Reverse boycott.
They made some news with a reverse boycott after, their owner is trying to, move the team to Las Vegas. And so the fans, they rallied together. They decided on a date to basically do a reverse boycott where they packed the Coliseum and they show the owner that there are, in fact, fans. There is a fan base in Oakland. And it was successful. It was very successful. The A's won. I think it was 2-1. Trevor May saved the game. It was against the Rays. And no, it was really cool to see. But it's obviously probably not going to... It's too late. It's too late at this point. Like, they're going to move to Vegas. But you don't see this in baseball very often. So I thought it was a very cool, quirk in the middle of a long season.
Well, exactly. It is too late, and that's very unfortunate. And really, the only person they needed convincing that the A's had a fan base was Rob Manfred. Because... I feel like everyone knows the A's have been a historic team for a long time. This is not like we're not talking D-backs. The D-backs are a historic team too, but we're not talking D-backs. We're not talking like the Rockies. We're talking the Oakland A's, who are one of baseball's most historic teams, going back for a long time. And I don't care what happens the rest of the season for the Oakland A's. They can be the worst team in baseball. They can break the loss record. The reverse boycott and the 7-game win streak that the A's went on during that time, beating the Rays, a very good team, best team in the league, was magical. And the Coliseum was packed, and they were making noise. You could hear them. And the energy was building. It was insane. And even past the reverse boycott game, I'm watching the A's yesterday. You're seeing the signs. Sal, Manfred, all the signs. And I'm very happy that the A's fans are standing up to this. It's not going to make a difference. They're going to move to Vegas. But terrible look for Manfred. Most incompetent commissioner we've had, and it's sad.
Yeah, no, speaking of Rob Manfred, his response to the boycott was the most backhanded compliment you could give someone. So let me quote him. He said, "It was great. It's great to see what is this year almost an average Major League Baseball crowd in a facility for one night. That's a great thing." That's so backhanded. He's basically just saying that, you guys finally show up for one game, and the one time that you guys do decide to show up is not even that crazy in terms of attendance. It's just the average for a normal Major League Baseball game.
Which, by the way, that's inaccurate. You could hear them, you could see them. By the way, I think that the A's are the largest Coliseum, has the most seats. I know they didn't fill the stadium, they didn't sell out. But I think, what was it? It was over 30,000, I believe, which is more than the average for a game.
Yeah, but that's it for the A's. I mean, they beat the Yankees yesterday, actually, 2-1. Paul Blackburn.
By the way, the A's aren't...
No, they're bad.
They're very bad.
They're bad.
But I don't think they're going to... Well, we'll get into the A's actually later. But Paul Blackburn's a good pitcher. I'll say that. Paul Blackburn's good.
All right. So let's just get straight into it. We're going to start with the AL East, best division in baseball by far. And we're going to start with the best team in baseball, best team in the AL, best team in the division, Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, so like you said, easily best division in the league. Maybe the best division ever. Maybe ever.
I don't know about that, but definitely.
But we'll start with the Rays, 54-27 at this point. Actually, 54-28. They lost yesterday to the Diamondbacks. But we'll start with the offense because it is special, and it's going back to what we said at the beginning of the season. I didn't anticipate the offense to be this special. It's special. They're first in home runs. They're first in the AL in home runs. Third overall, 123. First in WRC+, 127. That means your offense is special. They're second in slugging, 463. They're first in stolen bases, 99. I want to go to the stolen bases because that's an important point. the Rays are running wild and they put pressure on you. And I said this the other day in a previous episode, they use the new rules to their advantage more than any other team. And that's the sign of a good team, when you can really do that. And the Rays just know what they're doing. They have the analytics, and they really they see what they see what the analytics say, and they put it into action in the game. And it makes a difference, and they win games year after year after year. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that the Rays are good. They always are good because they're smart. They're third and on base. And then we can get into individual players. Yandy Diaz is having a breakout year. We already discussed him. Not going to get into him very much. Wander Franco's having a great year. I want to talk about Josh Lowe. He's having an all-star year. He might not be an all-star, but he's having an all-star season. He's 18 stolen bases. I think he has 13 home runs. And it's these other players that you might not know if you're a casual fan that are really carrying the Rays. They're making the Rays who they are. And Josh Lowe is one of those players. Jose Siri is a tremendous defensive center fielder, and he's 15 home runs. That leads the Rays out of everyone on the Rays. So we'll get into pitching, but I just want to. The Rays offense is absurd.
Yeah. So heading into the season, I remember in our off-season videos, I was talking about how high I was on the Rays, but I couldn't predict that they'd be this good. Obviously the best offense in the AL so far. They do it every single way. Home runs on the base path. They grind out every at bat. There is no easy out in this offense. Like Jose Siri is their 9-hitter, and he has the most home runs on the team. And speaking of pitching, I know I highlighted this as well. They have so much depth. And because, injuries are inevitable and you need depth, and, injuries have hit the Rays. Springs out for the year, Boz out for the year, Glasnow and Eflin both missed some time. McClanahan is Rasmussen's out for, another couple months. McClanahan, his back, tightened up a little bit on him. Yet, they had the best starting ERA at 3.35 and highest starting K per 9 in the league. And you have other prospects like, Taj Bradley, stepping up. Bad start yesterday against the Diamondbacks, but other than that, he's been really good. But something that's been different about the Rays this year is that their bullpen has been, not Rays standard. The Rays are always up there in terms of bullpen ERA, bullpen strikeouts, bullpen, FIP, XFIP, all of those numbers. And they always seem to find guys that they can just turn to, that they can just turn into good pitchers. But that hasn't seemed to be the case this year. Their two best pitchers are Fairbanks and Adam, and who were both very good last year, but they haven't really developed any new guys, new NPC pitchers that have turned out to be pretty good, But, I'm sure they will. I'm not too concerned about the bullpen, but it's just a little blip in what has been an amazing season for them so far. And they are definitely a World Series favorite.
That's exactly right. And we'll go to the starting pitching first. You already said it. The fact that they can withstand these injuries is impressive in the first point. Taj Bradley, bad start, like you said, but it'll happen from time to time. He's really impressed me with the strike zone command, and the stuff. Forcing fastballs legit, cutters legit. And then they do the bullpen game better than everyone else I've ever seen. Chirinos, we'll get the opener for Chirinos. He'll throw 5-6 innings. Fleming, Beeks. That's how you win games. That's how you win games. The Rays are masters of doing whatever they have to do to just win the game. And then we'll go to the bullpen. And you said you're not so concerned. I shouldn't be concerned because they're the Rays. Of course they're going to figure it out. However, I am concerned because they have the second lowest K per 9 from relievers. The thing is, relievers need to strike guys out. When you're a closer, I know Adam has K stuff. I know Fairbanks has K stuff. But relievers need to strike guys out. When you're talking ninth inning, late in the game, 1-run lead, second and third, 1 out, that has to be a strikeout. Otherwise, guess what? We're in a tie game if you give up a productive out. So that's really important from a reliever standpoint. Starting pitching, it's important, but it's really not as important in my opinion. Relievers, it's really important. The fact they don't strike guys out is a little concerning to me. And then we'll go to the defense, plus 29 defensive runs saved, elite defensive metrics. And that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. The Rays they play fundamental ball.
Oh, yeah. One last thing before we move on to the next team. The Rays are so good that they can bench, arguably their best player in Wander Franco for 2 games because they can afford to. And, they're still able to win, which is ridiculous. No other team, or very few teams in this league can bench their best player, just because, for, attitude. That's how good they are.
All right. Well, now we're going to get into the second best team in the AL.
which is crazy. I cannot. I was so wrong on this, but
okay.
Let's see.
Of course, it's the Orioles. And before I do anything, actually, I'm going to save this point for now. I'll just get into the team itself. And they're 4 back of the Rays right now. We'll get into the whole standings part after we go over the whole East. I have a lot to say about that. But let's talk about the keys. And I want to talk about why the Orioles are a good team. They're 14-9 versus the East. That means they're beating the Rays. They have a winning record versus the Rays. Winning record versus the Yankees. They're playing the East very well. And then what else is a sign of a good team? When you're not having... Think about... This is a little weird. Last year, the Orioles had a 10-game winning streak that brought them to 500. This year, no 10-winning streak needed. They've just been that team the whole season long. And we'll talk about why. When is a team good? When they're not streaky. When you go on winning streaks are good. You win 6, 7, 8 straight in a row, that's really good. But when you don't have losing streaks. Teams that avoid losing streaks are really good because they're not streaky, they're just consistent. The Orioles are a consistent team. They haven't been swept in the Adley Rusham era. That goes back to last year. They haven't been swept. How impressive is that? I feel like that's nuts. That means if you don't get swept, you're not going to have a losing streak. That's the first thing. And we're going to get into a team later in a different episode that is really streaky. And streaky teams aren't scary. When you think about a streaky hitter isn't scary because guess what? They're cold half the time. When they're hot, yeah, they're scary. But the streakiest hitter I can think of is Giancarlo Stanton. And as a fan, he's never scary to me. He's not scary. And I know he's been really bad right now, but he's just not scary. Now let's get into the real heart of what's going on. And we'll start with the offense. This is the strength of the team. And they see the most pitches per at bat. And why is that important? Because you're making the pitcher work. You're going deep into games. You're making the pitcher work so they don't go deep into games. And that means you're not going to strike out a lot because the pitcher is going to be out of the game sooner. You're going to get to the bullpen. 8th lowest K rate. They steal a lot of bases. They're 10th in stolen bases, which isn't Rays. It's not at the level the Rays are at, but they've main contributors with Mullins and Jorge Mateo stealing bases. They're 8th in OPS. They're 7th in slug. 6th best team WRC+. And they dealt with a slow start offensively with Santander and Henderson. Now probably their 2 best hitters in the lineup right now. Anthony Santander, my favorite player, going crazy in June. Going absolutely nuts. And I love to see it because I love when Santander's hot. Gunnar, show him why you're number 1 prospect. Gunnar's red hot. And then we've seen 2 games from Jordan Westbrook. He's really impressed me in the 2 games with the plate discipline. And then we have to go over Aaron Hicks, right?
Yeah.
380 OPS in April with the Yankees. Since then, since May and June, part of that's with the Yankees, but May and June, 870 OPS. Whole different player. And I love it. Aaron Hicks fired me up one time. I love seeing it. He's a different man with the beard. Fear the beard, baby. Aaron Hicks. And he's smiling. Have you ever seen Aaron Hicks smile as much as he's smiling right now? Have you ever? I haven't seen it. I can tell you, I watch a lot of Yankees games. I watch a lot of Orioles games. Aaron Hicks never smiled once on the Yankees. He's a whole new man. But then it's not even, we're talking Ryan O'Hearn breakout season. The Orioles are that team. They're that team this year. And I'll let you go over. I have a lot to talk about with the pitching. I'll let you go. But then I have a lot to say.
All right. I know off-season video, I said O's were finished last. Why? Because of their pitching. You look at the pitching staff, beginning of the year, okay? You know, you haven't seen 2023 yet. You just look at the team on paper. You look at the pitchers on paper. You go, okay, what's the rotation look like? Tyler Wells, Kyle Gibson, Kyle Bradish, Dean Kramer, Cole Irvin. You know, G-Rod was projected to be in the minors for now. You look at that rotation, 1 to 5, you're like, God, that's awful. How did they not sign one guy besides Kyle Gibson in the offseason? But guess what? This rotation has been really, really freaking good. And that's one of the big reasons why they are, you know, the second best team in the AL so far. And I was so wrong about it. I was never concerned about the offense. The offense was good last year. And, you know, with the prospects coming up, you know, Henderson playing a full season, Westbrook just got called up, you know, Santander, Hayes, Rutschman, Mullins, these are all good hitters. They established that last year. I was not worried about the offense. I was worried about the pitching, and the pitching has just proven me so wrong. You know, Tyler Wells, he's pitched like an ace so far. You know, obviously has home run issues, but once he limits that, he'll be very good. Kyle Gibson, innings either. Kyle Bradish also took another step forward from last year. I know his ERA was like around like in the high 4s in 2022, but is now in the high 3s, which is a good step up. Dean Kramer, I'm not as high on compared to Wells and Bradish. I still think he's due for, regression. G-Rod was pretty bad in his, big league cameo. He got sent down, but I mean, he's pitching well in Norfolk right now, so I'm sure he'll be back up soon. Cole Irvin, he's been bad too, but G-Rod is just going to replace him, I'm pretty sure, soon. But the bullpen, let's talk about the bullpen. Bullpen has been amazing, which is something I did not predict as well. They had, their breakout relievers last year, Felix Bautista, Ciano Perez. You think like, okay, they're probably going to regress a little bit. Perez has, Bautista hasn't. But, when relievers regress, you need other ones to step up if you want to maintain a good bullpen. And, there's been 2 guys that have stepped up in a big way. Yadier Cano, traded for Jorge Lopez last year, has been, the second best reliever in the AL behind Bautista so far. Michael Baumann has been very good. Danny Coulomb, short king, he's pitching well. And yeah, it's just like the pitching staff has been really good, and it was just something that I could not have foreseen in my wildest dreams. So good on the Orioles for that.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned all that. I have to just say, I know you could say I'm biased because I'm a fan, but I knew the rotation wasn't going to be so bad. And why do I say that? Because I don't know. Well, I've watched them more, so I'll say that's one reason. But I'll say the guy that surprised me most is Tyler Wells. I wasn't. I really figured Bradish was going to take a step up. Tyler Wells is just that guy right now. He's the WHIP leader in the AL. Actually, in terms of the whole league. And here's the thing with not just Wells, but the whole staff. That's really good. This is a very good sign. The strikeout stuff is up for all of them, but Wells especially. The changeup is so filthy. It might be one of the top 10 most filthiest pitches in the league. Tyler Wells' changeup is unbelievable. And then Kyle Gibson's doing the Jordan Lyles job better than Jordan Lyles. So good on the Orioles. That's an upgrade. And then what's Kyle Bradish doing? He's throwing that four-seamer that it has cut action, but he calls it a four-seamer, but it's cutting. And then Kyle Bradish, you know what else? Another top 10 pitch in the league. Kyle Bradish's slider is, if you've seen it, it's ridiculous. The movement on Kyle Bradish's slider, swing and miss pitch right there. And you know what, Dean Kramer, why is Dean Kramer pitching better this year? Because he's throwing the four-seamer more. He's not throwing that little sloppy fuck cutter. He's throwing the four-seamer, and he's riding it up in the zone. And you know why? Because he throws 97. Why would you not throw the four-seamer? Bayou, top of the zone, Dean Kramer. Savant hates him. Why? Because he still throws a cutter, and he doesn't really... His pitch mix is not great. But you know what? It's time for Savant to adjust stuff a little bit. For Elder, for Dean Kramer, for a bunch of other pitchers that, the numbers don't like them, but they're getting results. They've been good pitchers. It's time to adjust a little bit. He's a good pitcher. G-Rod will return, and he's going to be great when he returns. I have no doubt in him. And we're forgetting someone that was the best Oriole pitcher of the past 2-3 years. John Means is going to come back pretty soon after the All-Star break. And this rotation is going to take another step up. They don't have to be a top 10 staff. No one's saying that. Because the offense is good and because I'm going to get the bullpen's really good, like you said, this staff just has to be league average. All they have to do is be league average. And I think they'll be really good. And then I have to talk about the bullpen. You already mentioned Bautista, Cano, everyone. Lowest bullpen FIP. That's the first thing. So elite bullpen. No one's questioning that. But why is it important? Because the Orioles have the highest run differential in the seventh inning or later. And that supports why they're the comeback kings. Most comeback wins in the whole league this season. And it's not a fluke because they did the same thing last year. It's just how they're built. They're built to do this. And that's a sign of a good team, that you can come back and win games. It's a sign of a resilient team. It's a sign of a team with a good mentality. And the bullpen is the reason why. When you compare teams like the Rays and the Orioles, two of the best teams in the AL, which one has the better bullpen? That's key. That's a really important thing. And we'll come back to that. And then defensively, they're good. 8 defensive runs saved. They have the most double plays turned, and it's been the case. It's just their infield philosophy. Jorge Mateo is an unbelievable shortstop. He has a 13 weighted runs created plus, and it doesn't really matter. It matters a lot, but it doesn't matter when he's the best defensive shortstop Jim Palmer's ever seen. Jim Palmer said he's the best defensive shortstop I've ever seen. Incredible. That's what you have to do to be a good team. The Orioles are doing it right now, and I love to see it.
Yeah, what am I saying? I want to make one last comment. It would be a shock to me at this point if the O's don't make the playoffs, which is something I cannot believe I'm saying right now because I could not have predicted this. I just thought this pitching side would just be so bad. But it's been more than respectable. It's been a really good, really good group of guys.
One more comment before we go to the Blue Jays.
The Yankees. The Yankees.
One more comment before we go to the Yankees. And that is that they're still getting a little disrespected. And that's a good thing. They're still getting slept on a little bit. They're still getting a little disrespected because the Rays are shielding them. If they were leading the division right now, they'd have more eyes. The Rays are shielding them. And who's disrespecting them? FanDuel is disrespecting them. Because guess what? The better record than the Diamondbacks. NL West is a tough division. It's not as tough as the AL East, but it's a tough division with the Dodgers, Padres, Giants. D-backs, I believe, are minus 200 to make the playoffs. Orioles, plus money. Maybe they're minus 110, 115.
Definitely minus money now.
Minus 120, I think. But whatever. D-backs are significantly more higher favorites to make the postseason. They're around the same record. Orioles are a little better. I know they play in a tougher division. What's with the disrespect, FanDuel? It's time to get going. Orioles are for real. But we can go to the Yankees now.
All right, so moving on to the team opposite of the Orioles, big expectations, but they haven't lived up to it so far. It's my Yankees, who have been, honestly, they've been so disappointing this year, but I mean, it's because of one guy, Aaron Judge is hurt. And, usually, before this year, I my philosophy was baseball, obviously, it's not a one-man sport. You can have an amazing player, but if you don't have a good team around him, he can't carry you. One player cannot carry you to success. We saw this with Mike Trout. But I'm changing this after watching the Yankees. Aaron Judge is everything to the Yankees. The minute he's hurt, they are literally one of the worst teams in baseball. And when he's healthy, they go back to one of the best. It makes no sense. Whenever Judge is in the lineup, Rizzo, Stanton, Torres, LeMahieu, they all hit well. But when he goes, it's they all lose their powers from him. It's ridiculous. Everyone looks lost at the plate right now without Judge. It's unbelievable. They're a hard watch. I watched the game yesterday, Oakland Athletics versus, Yankees. Paul Blackburn shutting down the Yankees. It's so feeble. Strikeout, ground out to shortstop, double plays, sloppy base running. I see this every year. And obviously, this team on paper heading into the offseason, it looks so good. Best rotation in baseball, I would say. But with the Yankees, they're always going to get hurt. And every year, they always bring in these NPC players that end up playing big roles for them. For example, this year, they have Willie Calhoun, Jake Bowers, Billy McKinney. They're all playing big roles in the Yankees. They're hitting cleanup, third. They're not at the bottom of the order. They're hitting at the top of the lineup. Last year, it was Matt Carpenter, amazing. 2021, it was Mike Tauchman, Greg Allen, Ryan Lamar, Rougned Odor. I remember there was one time Rougned Odor was hitting cleanup for the Yankees. They always have these NPCs playing big roles for them, and then it happens every year. And it shouldn't have surprised me. I had higher expectations for this year after signing Rodon. I mean, I'm still confident they're gonna make the playoffs, but man, they are such a bad team without Judge, and that should not happen when you have a payroll of close to $300 million. But yeah, enough about my rant. Let's talk about the offense. We said this before. Mentioned this before. Without Judge, they're literally one of the worst in baseball, if not the worst. So Sam highlighted for me since June 1st, they're last in WRC plus 69, last in batting average at 192, last in OPP 250. The Yankees trademark, growing, throughout my whole life, they always put a good at bat in. They always make a pitcher work, for their outs. But this year it's just the total opposite. It's swing at the first pitch and ground out to shortstop, third base. It's just soft contact. It's just a tough watch. Rizzo, Stanton, Glaber, LeMahieu, they're all slumping at the worst time possible. And I know they'll be fine once Judge comes back, but we don't even know when Judge is going to come back. His toe injury is the biggest mystery I've ever seen. And the Yankees are so bad at handling injuries. Aaron Boone, I mean, I'm not saying he has to go, but he has to be more transparent with the fans. When Judge first got hurt, he was like, Judge, you could see him back next week, or you could see him back in 2 months. What is that crap? Just tell me the truth. He broke his toe. That's what happened. He made it himself. Aaron Judge went out to the media and said he broke his toe. Just tell us that at first. He's gonna miss time until August. Just tell us that. Don't say he's gonna come back within next week, because we know that's not gonna happen. Yeah, pitching. I mean, he's been good always. Herman, he's actually been pretty good this year, except his past 2 starts have been pretty bad. It was just home run after home run after home run. Nestor hasn't been good when he's played. He's hurt, but I'm confident in Nestor. I haven't seen much that has deterred me from, thinking that he's a bad pitcher. He's not. He's a good pitcher. Clark Schmidt has turned it around after a rough start. I think I like him a lot personally. And Severino, his velo's down, his stuff is down. I'm sure he'll bounce back, but I'm not as confident in him anymore. And Rodon's going to come back soon. He's going to come back early July, which I'm excited to see. But his velo is a little down too at the moment. But I don't know if that's due to long layoff, or if it's a sign of things to come. And I know I've been speaking for a while, but I'll wrap it up soon before I hand off to Sam. Bullpen with the Yankees, the bullpen's always good, and it's no different this year. They're the best bullpen ERA in baseball. They're loaded top to bottom. Clay Holmes has been amazing again. Tommy Kahnle still has not allowed a run yet. Michael King, awesome. Wandy Peralta, awesome. Martinacchio's taking a step up this year. They always have guys, that you're comfortable in for the most part. No more having to watch Chapman, walk the bases loaded and blow the game for us, which is good to see. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, so a lot to talk about here. Two teams we watch more than any other team, the Orioles and the Yankees. So these 2 teams will have a lot more to say than the other teams. You didn't say Boone had to go, but you were a little upset with Boone.
I don't think it's a problem.
I'll tell you who has to go. Cashman has to go. It's enough of this crap every year. If I'm a Yankees fan, I would be more than pissed. I would be holding up signs outside the stadium to get rid of Cashman. It's ridiculous at this point. The team is just so poorly built. We've seen a lot of this example with this year with the Padres, the Mets, and I think the Yankees are another example of this. The team is just so poorly built.
They're so top heavy. There's not much depth.
I disagree with you. One player cannot carry a team. We see the impact the Judge has on the team, but even with Judge in the lineup, the team, while good, I don't think is good enough. And so we'll go offensively. Big Volpe impact with the stolen bases. They're 7th in stolen bases. That's good. They're 5th in home runs. They're going to hit home runs, but it's home run or nothing right now. And you said all the stats, how they're last in basically every offensive category since June 1st. They're 29th on base for the whole year. They're 20th in slugging. So even though they're not getting on, so they don't get on base because we're going to hit home runs. But you don't even hit home. You mean you hit home runs, but you don't slug. You're 20th in slugging. Like, what is this? I know Willie Calhoun, now he's injured, but he was playing decent. Billy McKinney's playing pretty well right now. Jake Bauers. But these are not guys you can rely on for a full year. Maybe they put together a full season, but second half they could fall apart. And then what are you left with? It's just so poorly built. And I'm not going to discuss it right now because I've already discussed it. But the trades that Cashman's made in the past 2 years,
awful.
Just awful. They're disgusting. I could do better. I'm sorry. I'll say it. I could do better. It's just, what are you looking at? What are you looking at to make these trades? What is the analytics department that bad for the Yankees? And then, one thing that's good, one positive you can take out of this is they're still 43-35 and holding the second wild card right now. And why is that good? Because we said how bad their offense has been. They should, in theory, pick it up a little bit. In theory, you would expect them to pick it up a little bit, which means if they're this bad right now and still in a wild card spot, that's a good sign that they should pick it up.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll still make the playoffs. I'm confident.
Yeah. And the pitching, you already mentioned, it's been good. 16th best starter ERA, so it's not the staff that we thought it would be. In terms of, we both said at the beginning of the year that we thought this was the best starting staff in the league.
When healthy.
Which is the key. They're not really healthy. They're not healthy. But still decent. But it is the bullpen that's really holding it down and keeping them in things. I really give Clay Holmes a lot of credit. I was not a Clay Holmes believer. I thought he really fell apart. But he's figured it back out. And so they'll be fine. but a lot of things that could be better.
Yeah. So I forgot to talk about Volpe. He's really picked it up ever since, he had dinner with Austin Wells, who picked up on the mechanical tweak that he had to make, and he's been pretty good since then, Volpe. And he plays every day. Good shortstop defense. Good range. I think he needs more arm strength. He puts everything behind his throw. I want to talk about Josh Donaldson, who has to go. Just eat the money. I don't care. He has to go. He's done. He's washed. He doesn't care anymore. The amount of careless mistakes that he makes in the field or at the play is just enough for me. He doesn't hit the ball anymore, and when he does hit a home run, when he does hit the ball, it's a home run. But we're 0-6 when he hits a home run, so it's not like that has a correlation. 132 batting average, 200 OPB, 441 slugging. He's done. He's washed. He should go home. Just take his paycheck. Just call it Peraza, who I'd rather have up at this point. Donaldson's a tough watch, and this trade has just been a disaster, which is surprising because I was a fan of the trade at the time. But it's done. It's a sunk cost. Just cut your ties with him. And you think Boone should go, right? Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I do. Boone, more so Cashman than Boone. But I don't think Boone's been very good either. I think he's had poor bullpen management. We see it game to game. One game I was at, which now it's a while ago now, but the Guardians game with Herman.
That was ridiculous. That was probably one of his worst moves of the season.
What are we doing taking him out? It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. And then, of course, this was how Clay Holmes was still struggling. Clay Holmes blows the game. Now he's figured it out, but you got to know your relievers. You got to know use your eyes. We're watching the game. What are we watching? Everyone in the stands, everyone around me knew what was happening. They were like, please let him on. And then they see him taken out. Everyone's throwing a fit. Everyone knows he's going to blow the game before he even blew the game. It's just a joke, and it happens. I watch the Yankees games. It happens more in the Yankees games than I feel like in any other game for a team that's good. The Royals, sure, they blow a ton of games. The A's, yeah, they blow a ton of games. For a team that's actually a good team, it happens too often. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so my last comment on the Yankees, they're still going to be fine. They're going to make the playoffs unless Judge misses the whole season. I'm sure he'll come back in August, and he'll beat himself, and we'll get a wild card spot. We'll win a series, maybe the ALDS, and then lose to the Astros and the ALCS again. So, let's move on to the Blue Jays, who are only half a game back of the Yankees. Very similar track, high expectations, inconsistent season so far. You want to go first about the Blue Jays?
You can go first.
All right. So offense, you look on paper, you go Springer, Bichette, Vladdy, Varsho, Kirk, Chapman. You think to yourself, that's a pretty good lineup. Springer, he's getting old. He's getting old. You could see it more this year. He's still having a solid year. Bichette's having an all-star year. Vladdy, though, he's been so disappointing. He's a 0.6 F4 so far. He's not a good defender at first. And he's merely been just an above-average bat. Not the elite bat that everyone thinks he is. Last week, he had his first home run in the Rogers Center. The 48 home run season he had in 2021, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. I'll be shocked if he gets to 30 this year. He's not getting to 30 home runs this year. He hits the ball hard still. He's just not lifting the ball. He's not, with the hard contact he makes, he's not doing enough with it. And it's been disappointing. Vladdy's had a disappointing year. I know we said this when the trade was first made. Dalton Varsho, he sucks. What are you thinking? Obviously, Dalton Varsho is a good defender, elite defender, I might add, good base runner, but he struggles to have OPB over 300. He struggles to hit the ball. And with us the ball, sure, he's a home run here and there, but that's all he contributes. He's not a good offensive player. And you gave up Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who's been awesome for the Diamondbacks this year, and Moreno, one of your top catching prospects, who has been pretty good for a rookie catcher as well. All to get Dalton Varsho for what? To have the best defense in center field?
He doesn't even play center field. Kiermaier plays center field.
Best defensive, outfield alignment in baseball. He can't hit the ball. It doesn't matter how good defensively he is. He got the ball to be a good player. Alejandro Kirk, his weight might be getting to him. He's not he's been pretty bad this year, or pretty average. I'm sure he'll pick it up though. He's a very good player. He's 5'8", 260, bro.
No way, he's like 5'3".
No, but Alejandro Kirk is a very good player. He'll bounce back soon. But just the offense overall, it's been mid. And I said this before, you know, in our off-season videos, this team is a mid team on paper, and it's been like that so far. Moving on to pitching, Kevin Gausman, he's taking another step. He's elite. You know, he leads the league in K per 9. He's only a 2-pitch pitcher, really, and hitters still can't seem to figure him out. Barrios and Kikuchi are both having bounce-back years, which is good. Bassett has been a little drop-off from last year, but he's still munching innings, you know, providing quality starts here and there. But me and you both have to talk about Manoah, who, I mean, is he even going to play in the majors again? That's a real question to ask.
That's a real question.
It's real. He gave up 11 earned runs to the Yankees Florida Complex League.
To 17-year-olds.
We are both older than the players currently playing against Alex Manoah. These are 17-year-olds hitting home runs, yabos, placatas off Manoah. All like it's crazy. This is honestly one of the biggest drop-offs I've ever seen. Like this guy was third in Cy Young voting last year, and now he can't even make it through 3 innings against 17-year-olds. I'm speechless. Like Alex Manoah is a good pitcher. I know we make fun of him for being fat and being cocky, and you know, just saying unnecessary things like pressure is something you put in tires, and then give up 8 like earned runs to the Mariners. Like we make fun of him for that, but he's still a good pitcher, and it is a little sad to see that he's pitching this bad. Like I don't know. I'm speechless about that.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm not sad at all. He's just cocky and fat, and you know, he is fat. It's not even mean. He's fat, and he's not a likable person. He's just not likable, and to see him, and he's a division foe, but that's not even the point. He's just not a likable person. I love Rays pitching; they're likable. Manoah's not likable, and to see him get blasted by 17-year-olds. And be literally, I could have told you he was going to have a drop off. I could have told you he was going to regress, be not as good of a pitcher this year, because I never thought he was really a very good pitcher. But I'm amazed at how bad he's been. It's funny to me. I find it funny. Some people find it sad. I find it funny. And I think he's never, I actually hope, you know what? I hope Alek Manoah comes back to Major League so the Orioles and other teams can blast him again and send him back down to the minors yet again. But he may not ever be a Major League pitcher again, because one, he's just not very good, and two, he might have lost all confidence at this point. What is going on? If you're a Major League pitcher and you get blasted by 17-year-olds, no matter who you are, your confidence has to be hit. But let's talk about...
No, not even getting blasted. How many starting pitchers in the MLB gives up 11 earned runs?
No one.
That's unheard of, and you're giving up 11 earned runs. I don't think Alek Manoah has ever given up 11 earned runs in his career, ever. Like college, minors, Major League Baseball. And he's given up 11 earned runs, and literally the worst minor league like level there exists, like that exists besides like Dominican Summer League.
If they decide to cut him, if they decide to
the teams are gonna pick him up 100%.
No, I'm saying, would you be surprised if they do it?
No. Why would you do that? I mean, his value is just so low. Like,
whatever.
This is rock bottom. The only way it goes up. There's no way it gets worse than this. This is rock bottom. It'll go up. I'm sure he'll be back in Major Leagues, and I won't be surprised if he's good again, but just not the level as he was last year. But it's just hard to explain right now.
Well, I want to talk about the Blue Jays a little bit. And so they have the 4th lowest K rate, 20.4%. So they've always, this is kind of similar to last year. They don't really strike out very much. They're 7th on base, they're 10th in slugging. But the thing is, so those are pretty decent numbers, but it's just not good enough in this East. They're a good team. If they were in the Central, they'd be winning. Either Central, they'd be winning. They'd be a division winner. But they play in the AL East, and it's not good enough in the AL East. They're just too mid. And we said it before. You already mentioned all the players. I want to talk about the pitching because I love talking about former Orioles, and I think Split City KG is an elite pitcher. I love pitchers that throw splitters. He throws a splitter. It's so nasty. It's actually kind of a split change because he throws it like a changeup a little bit. It comes off this way. It pronates out. But yeah, I'm really... The thing is, the pitching hasn't been the problem. The starting pitching really hasn't been the problem because you take Manoah out of the equation, you're throwing a pen game every 5th game, which is fine if you do it well. And they haven't. Trevor Richards has been pretty good in that role.
I want to add the thing with Manoah, just him being as bad as he is, it just takes a toll on the pitching staff because all it takes is one injury, and then what happens? You got to call up another guy or do 2 bullpen games.
Well,
you cannot do 2 bullpen games.
You can't do. No one can do 2 bullpen games except the Rays, who I still don't know how the hell they managed to their pen. Well, no wonder their pen isn't good this year, but they managed to do it in previous years because their pen throws more innings than anyone else. But with the Blue Jays, 1 pen game is tough to handle. There's no way they can do 2. Someone else would have to come up. But they've been handling the pen game so far well, and the other pitchers have stepped up. Barrios has looked pretty good this year. Kikuchi's pitched well, honestly. He surprised me. And Chris Bassett's pretty up and down. Sometimes he'll get blown up, but his K stuff has improved. It's honestly impressive that he's able to still pitch well. And their defense will always be good. They lead the league in defensive run save, plus 42. And really, that's all I got on the Blue Jays.
Yeah, no, this has been... we said this at the beginning of the season. This is a mid team on paper, and it's performing like a mid team right now. I also want to add, you highlighted, they lead the league in defensive run save. They have four...
I dropped it, man. I dropped it.
1 for 2 so far on banana tosses. But they have, elite defenders all over the field. They do have the best defensive outfield linemen in baseball. Varsho, Kiermaier, Springer, these are all Gold Glovers at their position. Matt Chapman, Matt Chapman, he's amazing at third defensively. But yeah, I mean, Blue Jays, it's a coin flip if they'll make the playoffs or not. I still think they will, but I think they will. That's what I meant to say. But yeah. Moving on to the last team in the East, and which is the AL East. They're so good. The team in last place is over 500. Yet in the Central, every team's below 500. So it's just a stark contrast. The Red Sox. I mean, I said this again at the beginning of the off-season video. Their offense. They always find a way to have a productive offense. It's ridiculous. 5th in home run in the league, but they don't K as much. The Red Sox have never been a team that Ks a lot, yet they always put up big power numbers. Devers, Verdugo Devers is a star, obviously. Verdugo has taken a step up this year. He's a very good outfielder. I won't be surprised if he makes the All-Star team. Justin Turner, another professional big league hitter, one of the most underrated players of our generation. And then you have Yoshida, who's been awesome. You have Duvall has been good when he's played. Casas has struggled a little bit, but I'm sure he'll pick it up. This dude I've watched him play. He has very good intangibles, very good tools. He just needs to put it together. He has good play discipline. He just needs to just make a contact a little more. Pitching.
Let me talk about the Red Sox for the offense for a minute. And first thing is, I'm embarrassed that I dropped the banana. That is embarrassing. And it was up and in. It was like right here, and just missed it. But whatever. The Red Sox are a very interesting team to me, and it's a team that you shouldn't consider out of the picture yet, for a couple reasons. And one is the offense, like you just said. It is impressive that they're able to hit for power and still not strike out. But Devers, Verdugo, Turner, Duvall, Yoshida, those are legit hitters, and they're going to keep them in this the rest of the way. They're going to just stay in this picture the whole way, and you shouldn't be shocked if they make a little run. But I just had to mention that before we go to the pitching. I'm sorry. You got it.
No, you're good. Pitching, it's the weakness of the team, obviously. Their ace so far has been Brayan Bello, who's been awesome. He reminds me of, like a right-handed Fromber. He has strikeout stuff, but he generates so much soft contact, so many ground balls that he's very efficient. He goes deep into games, which is something that a lot of young pitchers do not do. Teams like to, pull them the moment, they're going third time through the order, or, before they hit, 80, before they hit like 90 pitches. But no, Bello's efficient. He's throwing 7-inning 1-run ball very often, which is something great to see for someone his age. Sale, he's at the point of his career where he's injury prone, and he got injured again, which sucks because he's been really good this year when he's played. Paxton has been a big surprise so far. He's coming off another major arm surgery, but he's dealing. He's been a little inconsistent, but he's dealing. Houck has been great, and he got hit in the face too, so he's gonna be out for a while. And Whitlock too. He's also been inconsistent. Great stuff, but he has his blowups here and there as a starter. I mean, the rotation isn't that great, but there's upsides to this rotation when everyone's healthy and firing and clicking on all cylinders. Bullpen has been okay. Has been great. Has been awful too. Hasn't been as bad definitely as in previous years, because I remember like past couple of seasons, Red Sox relievers, they always blow the game. Just want to highlight, relievers. Kenley he's had his velo spike back up to his prime days, but he's been okay. Chris Martin has been pretty good, but yeah, it's nothing much to say about the bullpen.
So for the starting pitching, you talked about Bello, and you were absolutely right. He was my dark horse Cy Young pick for the AL, and I love the pick. I'm going to take a lot of credit in that pick because he is legit. And Brian Bello is going to be around for a while with the Red Sox and pitching, going to be a Cy Young contender for years to come. He's going to be right there. And I'm not going to get into it because you already talked about it. But yeah, we talked about Paxton, Houck, Whitlock. They all have really good stuff. All the stuff in this rotation is actually really good. And they have the potential to be a very good rotation. And it's a little deceiving when you say they're the 8th worst starting staff, 4.82 ERA. Because they're not quite that bad. Bello was hurt at the beginning of the year. Paxton wasn't there at the beginning of the year. Whitlock wasn't really there. The rotation is way improved since May. They had the 2nd worst ERA in April for rotation. And so that means they've had to be fairly decent to get themselves up to 8th. It's not great. We're not talking about this as a top 10 staff. But it's really not that bad. It's actually decent. It should keep them in it a little bit. And then bullpen really isn't very good at all. Kenley's been okay. He started the year really well, but then he fell off a little bit after he got the saves. And then they're 10th worst by FIP, even worse by XFIP. And similar to the Rays, they don't really strike guys out. 3rd lowest pen, K per 9. And that's just not good. You want to be able to strike guys out as a bullpen.
Okay, let's go over division standings.
You want me to go? I can go.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so such an interesting division. It is my favorite division, and I'll go from last to first to make it a little more interesting. And although I think the Red Sox will hang around, they will be the 5th place team in this division. Unfortunately, still above 500. I think all 5 teams end above 500, but they're going to be 5th. The Blue Jays are going to be 4th. I think. I think the bottom 2 are going to. It'll be close, but the top 3 are going to be a little separate from the bottom 2, in my opinion. And I'm going to put the Yankees at 3, where they are right now. I do think the Yankees will get a wild card. I think they're going to hang around. They might even when Judge comes back, they might make a division push, but I think they're going to hang around at 3. And here's where it gets interesting. Because I'm putting the Rays at 2 in this division.
All right, bro.
And no, hold on. I have to make something. So the Rays are going to be at 2. That leaves only one team. That means the Baltimore Orioles are winning the AL East. And so before I say anything more, I want to say, when we made the offseason division standings, I put the Yankees first. But I really wanted to put the Orioles first. But out of fairness to the I wanted to put credibility to the show. I didn't want to come off as the biased fan. I said, you know what? I'll just have the Orioles make the postseason as a wild card. I won't have them win the division. But I think we've proven now, as they've been the 2nd best team, 3rd best by record, over the course of the season, that they're legit, and you're not an idiot. You're not biased. You're not a delusional fan to say that they're, 1, World Series contenders, and 2, very possibly could win the AL East. And there's reasons behind why I'm saying they're going to win the AL East. First reason is the Rays, although I should never doubt the Rays. They've been excellent. They're trending down. They haven't had the same pace they had at the beginning of the year. I think they played 500 ball the past 20 games. They are trending down. We've seen a little bit of a bullpen issue. We've seen issues. The Orioles are getting stronger. They have more prospects to come. Cowser is coming. Westbrook just arrived. John Means will return. G-Rod's going to return. They're only 4 back right now. 4 is not that many. 4 is not that many. They have the better bullpen. They're able to come back in games. The energy is just there. The Orioles' energy is real. The Orioles are going to come and win this AL East. I'm telling you, they are. They are. That's my AL East.
Okay, I'm obviously going to disagree with Sam here, but so 5th place, you have Red Sox. Obviously, they have their spurts, they have their moments. They're a very inconsistent team, but I just think I won't be surprised if they make a late playoff push, but I'm going to put them in last. They're always capable of going on a run. 4th place, I'm going with the Blue Jays. I want to mention that I don't think the Blue Jays make the playoffs. I think so far, every one of the stars has been healthy so far. Gausman, Bassett, Barrios, Kikuchi. It is so rare to go through a full 162 game season with all of your guys making 30 plus starts. And the fact that Manoah is giving up 11 runs to 17-year-olds, he's not going to come back anytime soon. So all it takes is one injury to the rotation, and I think it all falls apart. It's too much to overcome for 162 games. They don't have enough depth, to say next man up. We'll just slot him in the rotation. They don't have the guy like that. Their guy was Mitch White, and he's hurt right now. So, I don't want to predict injuries on anyone on the Blue Jays staff, but I feel like eventually someone's going to get injured. And when that happens, they will not have necessary, replacements to keep them in a playoff spot. 3rd, I'm going with the Yankees. Aaron Judge isn't coming back anytime soon. But when he does come back, they'll be just fine. They'll make the playoffs. But they won't be good enough to, really challenge for, the 2nd place spot between the Orioles and the Rays. So 2nd, I'm going O's. It's simple. The Rays are a better team. They have a 4-game lead already. The Rays are built to win. They are built for a 162 game season. They have depth everywhere. If a guy goes down, next man up. They are the definition of next man up. I know teams like the Yankees or whatever like to steal that slogan. The Rays are the definition of next man up. They have guys ready to go at every single instant. Like whatever happens, they're ready for it. And the O's, it remains to be seen. When you're a young team, you need the experience of a pennant race, and they don't have that experience yet. And I wonder if that will come into play. When it comes for the stretch like August, September baseball games, where these games intensify. Every game really does matter, and they don't have the experience yet. This is the first year, but they're still a good enough team where I can slot them 2nd behind the Rays in my updated AL East division predictions.
Fair enough. So, are we going to end this one and restart for the Central?
Yeah, I'm down for that. So this is it for episode 14. These are our updated AL East, breakdowns of every team and our updated predictions. We did go into a lot of depth for all of these teams, which is why we're splitting into 3 episodes instead of every single AL division in one episode, because 3 hours is it's an overkill for sure. But yeah, that's it for episode 14, and we'll be back for episode 15. So keep humming, baby. And we've hit the halfway mark of the baseball season, so just another 81 games to go, and we're almost there. And then playoffs, so we're exciting times. Keep humming, baby.